Hello, everyone. Wow, this lighting is interesting. It's morning here and we're live, so we're going to keep it the way that it is. So I'm here today to talk about, should I pump the other side? I need to go back to the basics on this one because everybody is like missing something here. This question is in the top 5, top 3. It might be the number 1 question. And the question is like, if the baby doesn't take this breast after breastfeeding, do I need to pump it? Should I pump it? No, unless there's a reason to pump it. And I think this is where some of the confusion comes from, because you are hearing all of the different variations. You're hearing, no, leave it alone. Or you're hearing, well, sometimes pump it. And you're hearing, well, every time you should pump it because you don't want to mess your supply up. If you don't pump it, your supply is going to go down. That is true. What does that mean about you and your milk supply, though? If I have a baby who's only taking one breast regularly, which is pretty rare, by the way, because usually it's not going to look like just one side every single time. It happens. It happens. Usually it's like in the morning, early day, taking one breast, but then in the evening, maybe we need the other side. That's a thing. If that's happening, though, where the baby's only ever taking one side and then is done, are they okay? Are they having the diapers that we need? Are they having the weight gain? Are they giving you 2 to 3 hour stretches of satisfied behavior after they're done that breast? If you're checking those boxes, you're changing a lot of diapers, weight gain is perfect, baby is satisfied after eating, they only need that side. Why would you pump this one then? I don't want to lose the milk. Yes, you do. If you start pumping that, you have an oversupply now. You do want to lose the milk. You do want the supply to regulate down to match what the baby is taking. Lactation works in this really smart and perfect way when it's working. I know, guys, I know. This isn't working for some of you, believe me. I wish it were, but in theory, this is how this works. Baby is full term, no medical issues, has a nice deep latch. That means it doesn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt you. And you're feeding them on demand. When they're hungry, you feed them. You're not trying to put them on a schedule. You're not timing the feeds, none of that. You're just saying, I trust that this full-term baby knows how to tell me they're hungry, knows how to tell me they're full, knows to sleep when they need to sleep, has all of these things built into their DNA, and we trust that. If we do that, this baby and my body is all working well. I don't have any medical conditions or underlying situations that might make me at risk for a low milk supply, okay? Then the baby takes what they need. And that drives the milk supply, and it puts it in a perfect place. Perfect. Because the body responds and the body says, oh, the baby needs this much milk, we're going to make it. And the baby knows how much to take. Inherently, they do. They do. We don't trust that anymore. We don't trust these babies anymore. We don't trust nature anymore. And it's messing us up. It's creating problems that don't normally exist. I like science. I'm a nurse. I like measuring things. Okay. I appreciate the science and technology that we have available to us. And we need to balance that out with the way that nature has set this up to work so perfectly. Okay. So baby takes out what they need, body responds in the perfect amount. And after a few weeks, the supply regulates to match this perfectly. We are all different. And I'm not going to make exactly the same amount of milk as anybody else, ever. Some of us, when the baby is born, make a little extra for the first few days. We get engorged. We feel very full. And then the baby eats. We're like, wow, that's such a relief. And we get used to that feeling, overfull feeling. That's the body just recognizing that birth has happened, the hormonal switch is thrown into lactation, and the milk is increasing in volume and just coming for that baby. And the body doesn't know the pattern yet. And some of us are making a little extra in those first few days and weeks. This is where pumping that other breast and that haka come into play. And we think that we know what to do. We think that if the baby doesn't take the other side, then I definitely need to get, oh, that's a bottle, not a pump. I definitely need to get the pump on because I don't want to lose my milk supply. That's not trusting your body though. If the baby leaves this milk, doesn't take this side again and again and again and again, then my body can get the message, hey, it's too much. Hey, you're making milk for twins. Thank you, but we don't need all of that milk. And the supply will regulate to match what this baby needs in a perfect way. If I start pumping the other side, when the baby leaves it behind, I'm pumping, I'm pumping, I'm pumping. The body goes, oh, you do have twins. Okay, no problem. We will make enough milk now for the two babies. Some of you are good with that. Many of you are not, because you're now chained to the pump, because you always have to pump this breast now because the baby doesn't want it. The baby's taking what they need, but the pump is needing to come in and take this extra milk. And because these breasts kind of work in conjunction with each other, it's not just that you have extra milk, because some of you are like, well, I would like to have extra milk. And if you just, sometimes I tell people who have all this extra milk, just pump once a day on that side that the baby doesn't take, just once a day to get your bottle for the fridge. And if you can do it at the same time that the baby is feeding, that's a win. Once a day. Or twice if you're creating a huge freezer stash for some reason. Be mindful about that. It's a different video. But every time, if you're doing that, now you have a double milk supply. And it's not just like, I have so much milk in the fridge or freezer. What are you doing with that milk? Because the baby's getting everything they need here. And if the baby is not at the breast, you're having to pump. Otherwise, you're going to be very full and engorged. People throw that milk away. That's your time going down the drain. So I want you to be really, really mindful about this. And like I was saying, it's not just about I'm pumping the other breast to get extra milk. While you're pumping the other side, you have a letdown, and it's letting down on both sides. And the baby is now getting kind of this like double milk supply. And some babies do okay with that. And depending on where your supply is, some babies don't. A lot of babies don't. If you're pumping the other breast every single time, and this includes the haka, like I talk about on Instagram, that's not the same as like a pull tug for 10 minutes, but it is a pull. It is telling your body, please keep making this milk. So creating that oversupply, you can end up now always needing to do that. You can't just breastfeed and be done, that's why I would breastfeed again. I'm lazy. I don't want to do anything. Put the baby on, done. I don't now want to have to go pump every time. I don't want to do that. I'm trapped now by the pump. I don't want that. But I created that situation. And people say, well, I have to, because if I don't, then there's so much milk there. Nature kind of created it at first, but you told it to keep going with the pump. Does this make sense? And now the only way to stop is to stop, but don't just pull the plug, especially if you've been pumping the other side every single time or most of the time. You can't just stop now, because you're going to end up engorged and plug ducts and mastitis. So you have to be really careful about this too, and saying, this is where you work with a lactation consultant. But it looks something like weaning back on the pumping. You're going to be full and uncomfortable, or I say comfortably full, but you have to be full, because that's how your body makes less milk. So the baby taking the milk out, the pump taking the milk out more. You leave that side full now. Don't pump the other side. Take a little bit out in between, because it is going to get mad at you. In about a week, we should be close towards regulation, close towards, okay, now I can just feed on one side and I'm done and I don't have to pump every time. Isn't that nice? So I think I'm going to wrap that up. That was a nice 10-minute little live session. If you are enjoying this content, tell people about it. Share this, like it, subscribe, all the things. I'm trying to get this channel off the ground. It's been slow because of I've got stuff going on in the world outside of babies and breasts, but I am here and I'm committed to doing more of this. So please share, like, thank you. Thank you. I really love doing this. I appreciate you listening. I will be back with more frequently asked questions in our live sessions together. Everybody enjoy the rest of this beautiful day out there.